going to. So are we on where we're going? Let's call the January meeting of the Township to order, and if you would, join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Very good. Let's have the clerk call the roll.
Walter Donnet.
Present.
Troy Tusana.
Yes.
John West.
Present.
Jennifer Zorn. Here. Lee Tracy.
Here. So amazingly, we have everyone present. So I'd like to have an approval of the minutes for, and the agenda is wrong. It's December 12th meeting, not November. The 12th meeting of the December 12th meeting of the Township Board. So is there a motion to approve the minutes of the meeting of December 12th?
I'll make a motion. Oh. Go ahead.
It's moved by
Zorn.
and seconded by Donna. Are there any questions, corrections to the minutes? Then let's have the clerk call the roll on approval of the minutes of the December 12th meeting.
Zorn.
Yes.
Donnet.
Yes.
Tusana.
Yes.
West.
Yes.
Tracy.
Yes, very good. And you have the supervisor's report before you, which just simply talks about the bank statements. We have total balances in all the checking accounts of $1,106,984.50, 60 cents, 50 cents. And I don't know, anybody have any questions, concerns about the bank statements? Which I think you all got, then we have copies of them. The general assistance ending balance is $5,308.14. General fund balance currently is $424,293.96. And the road fund balance is $672,074.32. You also have the budget reports for as of December 31st. I'll point out that this is the 9th month of the fiscal year. So I always argue that, we're 3/4 done. So one could argue that we should have 25% left in the budgets. That's true of everything except the general fund and the general assistance fund, which we'll address at some point here. You'll note on the agenda that I have suggested that we make transfers in the general assistance, general fund, and assessor's fund to get rid of the deficits that we have in those funds. So, that being the case, are there any questions about the checking accounts, the budget reports?
Why are the administrative expenses overdrawn?
Well, that's a good question. It's really lack of budget control, probably, and that is that, let me look at it. And the problem is that there are some things that we didn't take a very good account for in the assessor's budget. I think that we didn't really, take account of the annual cost of the updating of the PAMS program, which is really what it is, which amounts to about $7,200 from Cerrone Computer. That's the major reason why that administrative fund and the assessor's fund is in deficit.
Say it's an annual
Yeah.
cost?
Yeah, so
Why would
it's
an annual cost not be taken into consideration?
because we should have, and we didn't.
Did we have it last year?
Yes, but we didn't do it. So going forward, that's a budgeting question.
Do we have the budget for next year?
It will be. Yeah, we're working on the budget for next year. And we'll have to correct that.
In the general fund, why is those administrative expenses in excess?
I really don't know. I really don't know. We'll have to look at it. Later on in the agenda, we will transfer some funds in order to take care of the budget items that are in deficit. Any other questions? Can we move to the next item in the agenda is the approval of the bills. So far. Yeah, I think the only other thing that I want to mention is that, well, I'll address these things later, but the real point in the agenda is that we have to transfer some money in order to get rid of the deficits in some of the budget items. You have bills for payment in the general fund of $64,603.60. We have a motion to approve the payment of the bills in the general fund.
So moved. Second.
Second, any questions about any of this?
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
In a line item where you're supposed to only move 10%.
We aren't to that point yet. We're not to the point of transferring. We're talking about bills for payment.
Okay.
The bills for payment in the general fund in the amount of $64,603.60. Do we have a motion?
We have
a motion.
Yes, we have one in a second.
We have a motion and a second.
If there's any more discussion.
Any further, let's have the clerk call the roll.
Susanna,
Yes.
Zorn,
Yes.
West,
Yes.
Donnet,
Yes.
Tracy.
Yes. And we have bills for the road district in the amount of $26,799.21.
I make a motion to pay those bills.
A second.
Is there any discussion? Any questions?
No.
All right, so the clerk call the roll.
West,
Yes.
Zorn,
Yes.
Donnet,
Yes.
Susanna,
Yes.
Tracy.
Yes. Do we have an assessor's report?
Yes. I actually, because of the deficit in my budget, I had to look at what was going on with the money because I'm finding that I'm running short and I have an office to run. So I put together a proposed, and this is all based on moving, so I had to budget for that. And future cost, annual expenses that the office has and whatnot. So this is, the top page is, the second page is last year's budget, then this top page is 24-25 budget. do have one in a little more detail if you want it.
So we can look this over, and if we have any questions, we can ask you next month. 'Cause
Absolutely.
We're not doing the budget.
I just want to make sure it got in on time for your review.
So that's awesome.
It's due in by the end of January, the assessment.
Okay, yeah, that's, I appreciate it. Thank you.
I just think it's something that I need to start managing myself.
You're right.
I am. I don't want to run out of money. If you want details, I have that as well. So this kind of explains where the money goes.
Yeah, I would like that too, please.
If you don't have it enough, I get it.
It's the same as page one, I just
Okay. Oh.
excluded it, but.
Come together. Anything else with the assessors report? Do we have a road commissioner's report?
It's never something much.
Well, we had a good day today, so I hope the rest of the week turns out as well.
Right, am I right? These numbers
We're
don't
busy.
match? Sorry,
They don't.
they don't?
They should.
No, timeout.
The bottom numbers don't
I
match.
made a mistake, I'm
Just,
sorry.
no, it's okay, I'm just, this
Oh,
doesn't
yeah,
match.
yeah.
But this up here, this is why, because you're budgeting
Yes.
290 here, so this should actually be this.
Yeah.
Okay,
Probably didn't
it's fine.
check the formula.
Just
Sorry
making
about
sure
that.
I'm looking at the right thing.
Thank you.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
So you're okay.
Well, what is it, since you had it right?
Yeah.
So just the budget is here, the 290,
here.
290, but that didn't carry down to the bottom. So the bottom number just needs to match the first page she gave us. The 364,580 is what she's asking for.
Do we have a trustee reports?
Wait, hold on. We gotta back up.
I know, I'm sorry, I didn't hear the, sorry.
I didn't have much of a report. We were busy all day and it seemed to work out fine, so we're getting geared up to clean it all up tomorrow and start again on Thursday night or Friday. So, a good day.
It's fun.
This is what we do.
You're right, I know.
Trustee reports.
I have nothing.
No.
And I don't, any public
Me either.
participation, none. I don't think there's any old business. What I'd like to do is to deal with some of the deficits in the budget under new business. So I would like to make a motion to transfer from the Emergency Assistance Fund in the General Assistance Fund of the total amount that we budgeted for emergency assistance that remains of $1,761.10 and remove it and send that to general assistance so that we have a balance in the general assistance fund of $3,629.99. Do I have a motion to approve that transfer?
Transferring between funds.
The transfer from, no, in the general assistance fund, within the fund, from emergency assistance to general assistance. We are no longer doing emergency assistance, so we no longer need $7,961.10. We have a deficit in general assistance, and so I'd like to move that to general assistance so that we'll then have a balance in the general assistance fund of $3,620.99.
Okay, but before we do that, if you look at the December 31st general assistance is $3,376.77. And we're overdrawn in that fund $4,300. That means that when half of that was spent, we didn't have the money? How do you spend it? Just out of the
It's in the
budget?
checking account. You can spend it if in the checking account. This is a budget, there's a difference between the budget and the checking account. There's money in the bank, we can spend it.
So why do you want,
Because I don't want a deficit in the budget.
you created a deficit in the budget in December.
Yes, that's true.
Why didn't you have that transfer in November? You didn't see this coming?
Yes,
You did see it coming.
it wasn't done,
Is there a reason why it wasn't done?
because it doesn't done,
Acquisition? What's going on?
No, is there a reason why it wasn't done?
because it wasn't done.
That's the reason?
Yes.
That makes no sense to me at all. That's not a reason.
What would you like to do about it?
I would like to understand why it wasn't done.
I don't have a reason.
And when we make this transfer, we're gonna have about $3,000 left, and you've got 3 more months. What do you plan for next month? in the month?
There will be a continued deficit, and we'll have to take it from elsewhere. We can take it elsewhere in the general fund, or we can take it out of the road fund.
Would it make sense to take it now, or you wanna wait until you have created?
If you'd like to, you may do so.
Well, what are you anticipating for February? and
I have
March?
no idea. We cannot participate, we cannot anticipate, I don't know. We might not have these general assistance cases next month. I cannot predict it.
So when you asked us for $16,000 in the budget last year, what was that based on? If not a prediction.
I don't know. I cannot answer. It's difficult to budget the general assistance fund. That's all I can say. If you're gonna run it, you can run it.
So how much are you taking out, emergency assistance? Again?
All of
The remaining.
All
of it,
Yeah.
because we're
Okay.
not doing emergency
Okay,
assistance.
okay, yeah.
The emergency assistance is totally at the supervisor's discretion. We are no longer doing emergency assistance in this fiscal year.
Okay.
Can I ask what the difference is between the emergency assistance versus the general assistance?
Yeah,
If
and-
you don't have a budget for the general assistance and you don't, it's fluctuating every month, doesn't that mean that's kind of an emergency fund
No,
also?
emergency assistance is at the discretion of the township supervisor as to whether or not you will have emergency assistance. Emergency assistance is given when somebody does not qualify for general assistance, but we still want to give them assistance. The major reason that people do not qualify for general assistance is because they have dependents under the age of 18. So we have people applying for assistance. They have dependents under the age of 18. By statute, they do not qualify for general assistance, but they could qualify for emergency assistance if we can provide it.
It's a one-time.
So emergency assistance is a one-time benefit in a calendar year. General assistance is an ongoing benefit monthly, so long as they qualify.
Got it, okay.
Well, we have to transfer the money. I mean, I'm not sure about how it happened or how we got in the spot, but we're gonna try to address it on the next budget, make sure there's more funds in there. But we gotta get that money and move it over. So I'm making the motion to transfer the money.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
A motion, a second. Is there further discussion? Then let's have the clerk call the roll.
West,
Yes?
Zorn,
Yes,
Downing, Toussaint,
Yes.
Tracy.
Yes. Then we have transfers in the assessor's fund. I'd like to transfer from wages and payroll expense we have the problem, we have a deficit administrative expense. I'd like to transfer from wages and payroll to administrative expense of $9,000. I'd like to transfer from the IMRF health insurance costs to administrative expense of $4,000. That would give a balance in wages of $45,583.27. And a balance in the IMRF health insurance cost of $35,266, and a balance in the administrative expense of $529.64. So could I have a motion to transfer from the wages and payroll of $9,000 and from the IMRF costs to administrative expense of $4,000 for a total transfer of $13,000.
So where are you gonna be on the pages and or wages and payroll?
So if we look at the budget reports for the assessor's fund, the problem is that we have a deficit in administrative expense of $12,470.36. I'm suggesting that we transfer into that $13,000, $9,000 from wages and payroll, $4,000 from IMRF and health insurance costs. So a total of $13,000 is being transferred to administrative expense in the assessor's fund.
I think the question is, when you get done doing that, the wages and payroll are now down to $45,000. You still have 3 months worth of wages and payroll
Yes.
to pay.
Yes,
Will that be 45,000 or less?
yes. We will end up, as I get through further in the agenda, we will end up, there's an analysis of wages and payroll for the general fund, the assessor's fund. We will still end up adequate funds in those budgets to pay the wages.
We should be good on that.
So are there gonna be no more administrative expenses then for the next 3 months?
Well, we'll have a balance in the administrative expense budget. It could be part of the,
I won't be able to pay rent.
you're not paying the rent.
That's
It's coming out of my budget.
If we'll may have to deal with it later on in the next month.
9,000.
Yeah, the problem is that we have not adequately budgeted in the administrative expense.
I don't know.
And we will try to do that.
Probably.
I don't, if you want to see deficits in those budget items, that's fine. If you don't want to, then we have to get rid of them. It's the bottom line.
So the rent at the administrative expense?
Yes, it is. The rent is split between the assessor's budget and the general fund.
And what is our rent?
No, mine's 9,000.
The rent is in the budget. If you look in this, and you look in the bills for payment, I can show you what it is. One moment, please.
My rent is 16/20/24. Their rent is 8/10/13.
What we do is we split the rent for this facility, 2/3 in the administrative, by square foot. It's 2/3 of it to the assessor's budget and 1/3 to the general fund budget.
So the administrative expense for the assessors for January was 10 grand? And it averages about 3 to 4, maybe say 4,000 a month?
We had a large expense for the annual fund for the PAMS software.
But excluding that, you're still talking $3,000 to $4,000.
Rents was 14 and now it's 16.
So say I'll pick 3,900, so rent out of that is 16. What's the other 2,300?
I don't know.
Supplies, software updates, fees.
I know we approved the
IT,
budget, I'm just,
website,
Okay.
We can debate about the budget at a later meeting. Is
All
there,
right.
is there a motion to do this?
I think we're good.
I'm just concerned we're not transferring enough, is what I'm getting at. We're transferring 13,000, but you still have 3 months to go. So do we need to
That's true.
address that whole problem now, or do we do that in another
I
meeting?
think we have to, I think we have to do it month by month, because we can't, I'm not sure we can predict it.
Well, we have to take care of this month.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, aside from the budget and those hard costs, there's still backup money in our account, in the checking accounts, isn't that right?
Yeah, the
Okay,
checking
so
account,
if we get really in a bind and we need money, we have money in our accounts.
yeah, what's in the checking account has nothing to do with the budget.
Right.
Very little to
Okay,
do with the
but
budget.
if we need that money, we can use it. Is that right?
You're right.
Well, you can do whatever you want, yeah, sure.
Well, I mean, it's not like we're gonna go broke if we don't have this money in these accounts.
We have over $1 million in the checking account.
Huh?
You can always amend the budget if
Right.
there's monies in the checking account, right there.
Yeah, I mean, we
I
gotta,
think we're good.
so make the motion then.
Yeah, so move.
Second.
Okay, let's have the clerk call the roll on the motion to transfer, which is this one? This is the
Wages.
assessor's fund transfers. Okay?
Okay. West,
Yes.
Zorn,
Yes.
Donnet,
Yes.
Susanna,
Yes.
Tracy.
Yes. Then we have some transfers in the general fund. I will make the motion to transfer $7,000 from Wright and Kane and $4,000 to transfer $7,000, what am I trying, this one. You have to look at the budget reports. It's a transfer of $4,000 from legal services.
From legal services?
From legal services. Oh, I'm sorry. We're transferring transferring $7,000 from Wright and Kane, $3,000 of that to administrative expense and $4,000 to legal services.
You haven't made any transfers
Not this year.
this year, but you have in the past.
Where's the 3,000 going?
$3,000 is to administrative expense because we have a
Okay.
deficit of $2,963.59. And to legal services because we have a deficit of $3,726.87. So we're transferring $7,000 from Wright and Kane, $3,000 of that to administrative expense and $4,000 to legal services.
How do you pick the account that you want to transfer from?
The one that has the most money in it.
Wouldn't that be IMRF costs?
Well, the problem is that we may need that in order to pay those expenses later on.
Well, it's pretty consistent, $9,652, so 3 times that is $28,200.
We have a balance of $14,000 in Wright and Kane, which is not spent. We have a balance in which we don't need right now. So I'm taking $7,000 of the $14,000 and giving it to administrative expense and legal services in order to balance those budgets.
Do we expect no more bills from Wright and Kane?
We might, but I cannot anticipate when they will come in. When they come in, we'll deal with it. They come in irregularly, I cannot anticipate when they come. They may be in the next fiscal year.
Is there any reason to keep more money in the IMRF fund that you're anticipating will be spent?
Yeah, because I don't want to run a deficit in those budgets.
If there's extra, you might take from
What'll
there.
happen is that if there's, the issue is, the bottom line is that in 3 months, what's left in the budget will then carry over to the next budget year. What isn't spent in the budget will carry over to the next budget year.
So, for example, if you budgeted 12,500 in risk management last year, and you spent 10,000 last year, you would have 14,500 this year to spend?
We budgeted 12,500 and we spent $12,025.20, and we have a remainder of 40.
Or I just picked that arbitrarily, let's use IMRF. You budgeted 157,000, now you spent 85, so you've got 71 left. If this was the last of the fiscal year, and you did exactly the same thing next year, would you have $220,000 to spend on IMRF?
Well, whatever is left.
That gets added to
Whatever.
the next year's budget.
Yes, actually yeah, right. And it doesn't stay in those budget categories, it can be spread amongst the whole budget for the general fund.
So what did we have left over from last year?
I don't know. I can't tell you that. I don't have that information. I think we have a motion, and do we have a second?
We had a motion. I don't think we had a motion, did we?
Okay, the motion is,
Oh,
Well, Lee said he moved.
Oh, okay,
yes,
okay.
we made the motion to
okay.
transfer from Wright and Kane $7,000, $4,000 of which goes to legal services, $3,000 goes to administrative expense.
I second it.
Moved and seconded. Any other discussion?
That's how it's supposed to be, discussion after the move and the second. So, I've been here for a number of years on this board, and there have been transfers in the past. This year it seems odd, but that there's so many transfers, but I think I'm not answering questions. I'm just saying that we've had a lot of general assistance that we haven't had in the past, I've noticed this year.
Yep.
Okay, and we have some legal funds that we never had before. So, for me to say good with it, we have a budget and somebody's gonna work the budget how they need to make everything come out right, as long as they don't, take a whole line, a whole column and move it over to the next side. But we have had transfers in the past, and we have not had any of these legal things, which we're having now, which hopefully we'll be done with, but this coming year, but maybe not. So, all I can do is maybe say we can adjust these future numbers for the next budget as best as possible.
Isn't doing it this way setting ourselves up to have to do it again next month?
Well, I think we are. I
That's the
think
problem.
yeah.
We're just putting a Band-Aid on these, we're not fixing.
Yeah, but for next
addressing
year, we're
the
gonna
future.
have to address it.
Yeah.
I mean, when we do the budget.
No, but I mean.
Next month.
Oh, next
Be in a
month, for the
deficit.
next 3 months, we're gonna have
Right.
to deal with this.
Yeah.
Month by month basis.
Doesn't it make sense to just move more from an account into those accounts to budget
Right,
for
right,
what you
right,
need for the next
right.
3 months? That's what
Right.
I was getting at.
Well, I'm just kind of playing devil's advocate here. He doesn't know what, he just said 2 or 3 times, he doesn't know exactly what's gonna be in those
Correct.
budget deficits. So what if we transfer the money and it's not, we don't use it?
But
Then
we
we
know that
transferred
there's
it for
gonna
no
be
reason.
administrative expenses. We
Well,
do know
okay.
that. So-
You know that part.
You know there's gonna be more legal expenses, and you know there's not gonna be nearly as much IMRF costs.
Right.
So there's gonna be 40,000 extra dollars in IMRF, and it make more sense to spread that between administrative and legal services now, rather than doing, if you bring these deficits up to zero, you're asking for a deficit for next month.
Right.
So if you bring them up to 3 times what they average, then you might not get a deficit for next month. Although what I'm perceiving, it doesn't make any difference if you get deficits in these accounts or not, as long as there's money in the check.
Yes,
Correct.
correct.
So, I suppose we can do it month by month. Is there any
We're gonna address
downside to
this
doing
every
it month
month.
by month as opposed to straightening it all out now?
So,
Can I ask about the IMRF fund, why we have so much excess in there? Is there something that you're planning in the future? Because I know.
well, actually, that budget item is a combination of everything that isn't payroll expense. So what is in there is the township share of IMRF, health insurance, social security, and Medicare primarily. It's
Okay.
it's
So it's not just the IMRF.
It-
no, that,
It's a
that,
total.
okay, in those, one column is what is budgeted, what is spent for wages. The other one is the cost of the township of other payroll expenses, which are the township share of IMRF, the township share of health insurance, the township share of Medicare and Social Security. Is what's in that column.
But it's amazingly consistent.
Yeah, it is, because payroll is pretty consistent.
So I think your question is, if it's that consistent, why do we have so much extra in that fund?
Right.
Ask your own
That's-
question if you
that's-
want.
That was the
Yeah, well,
question, yeah.
what, the bottom line is, what's gonna end up is in those budget categories, there's gonna be a carryover. So you can take it from there if you want to. In the other items, in administrative expense, legal expense, there is not gonna be a carryover. Then as we will spend everything that's budgeted.
Did you say that if there is a carryover, it can be spread among all the budget categories?
Sure.
So if there's 40,000 left in IMRF that doesn't stay in the IMRF account added to the budget for next year, that gets spread across?
Yep.
Okay. I just didn't know if maybe you were planning something for the future for IMRF, because I know some other townships do that. They're offering something. incentive.
At this point, all I'm trying to do is right now get rid of the deficits in the budget, in those budget categories where there is a red, where we spent more than is budgeted.
So it's a good opportunity. We're going to be talking about this again
Yeah.
for the next 3 months.
And we know where to take the money from.
Right.
So we're good.
Do we have a motion? We have a second?
Yeah, I second.
Then I'd like to have the clerk call the roll.
Tracy,
Yes.
Susan,
Yes.
West,
Yes.
Zoe,
Yes.
Donna.
Yes.
Very good. Is there anything else to come before the board at this point? If not, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
The meeting is adjourned. Next meeting is February 13th.